Welcome back to Classis, Wisconsin Conversations. Pastor Jason Rice is with me, maybe the most familiar face on this program because Pastor Jason is our Classis clerk. So he puts together the updates from Classis meetings, which is why we have Pastor Jason on today. We had a February meeting of Classis, which I was not able to attend. But Pastor Jason, any highlights to share with the Classis regarding the meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say, there were probably two main things that we focused on. I guess there's a few important decisions made as well, but probably the most exciting thing was we had an examination of Mac Sore for commission pastor. And really not only was it exciting to just hear his passion for Reformed theology and his passion for planting churches, but it's really the beginning of a new way of approaching church planting in Classis, Wisconsin, a little bit. That he's coming in as a commissioned pastor and really under kind of like a residency is what we're calling it at Brookfield, and so he's kind of on staff somewhat through Brookfield as he's planting some of these churches. But I know, like, most of my delegates coming out of the meeting were really excited, not just from the examination he gave, but as he gave an update on how that church planting process is going in Milwaukee. He gave an update that the strategy for church planting in Milwaukee is to get some different house churches going and then have them start meeting more regularly. And so they already have two different house churches meeting. One has, like, I think I would have to remember the exact numbers. I don't have all of my notes in front of me, but I know there's a total of 32 people. So I think one house church has like 18 people already, and one has 14 people, I think, somewhere around there. And so they're meeting separately, and then once a month, the whole crew is meeting together and worshiping. And so that's pretty good for how new the whole process is.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
We talked last time about this, church planter in residence idea. It makes a lot of sense to have Mac around and getting to know the people and the places and making connections, so that when it comes time to officially plant, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you've got this group of, it's already 30. That's wonderful. It's similar to the way that Pastor Chris Gansky started at Brookfield CRC and then at City Reform. Now it's a little bit different because City Reform required some from Brookfield to go along, and Mac's situation is different because it will be a Spanish-speaking congregation. But speaking of Spanish-speaking churches, there's more of that in the Classis as well. It sounded like out of the meeting.
Yeah, we got to hear from Diego Chavarria. He's one of the candidates of ministry in Classis, Wisconsin right now, from Living Hope CRC, which is in Fox Lake, just kind of up the road from me. And Diego is hoping to be ordained in the ministry in 3 years. He's going through some other training right now, but the goal is, and I think he's beginning to start even another Spanish-speaking church in Living Hope right now.
Super cool.
And so, that's a lot happening. It really fits, I think, with one of the things that came out of this last synod, or even the last two synods, has been this kind of global vision for the CRC. Yeah. And a lot of people have said kind of the future of the CRC is really hitting some of these different groups, like the Hispanic group. The Consejo Latino group has gotten really organized, and they've done a lot of really good work. And so, it's exciting to see that happening in the Christian Reformed Church for sure.
There's another candidate for ministry at Living Hope. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, Keith Niemeyer is there. He's currently their I forget what his official title is. I think
Jack of all
director of
trades, I
worship.
think it
Yeah.
should be.
Well, when you're the only staff person, because Living Hope is vacant right now, you are the jack of all trades.
And
I've been there
Keith is good
before.
at all of it, by the way.
Yeah.
Excellent worship
Yeah.
leader,
So Keith is
good preacher.
currently studying at Calvin Theological Seminary right now and expected to graduate in a couple of years. And so, but yeah, he's there and he's doing some really good work up at Living Hope as well. And yeah, both of these guys, we got to kind of hear their background on where they came from and why they're excited to be part of the CRC. And yeah, it's exciting to see the future. And it's exciting, I think, for us. I can't remember now how many candidates total we have. You're one of our candidates as well. So we have
Tell people what you mean by the word candidate.
yeah, candidate. It means well, it could be young or old men, I guess, but people who are in the process of becoming a minister of the word, and so they're enrolled in a seminary program and seeking to become an ordained minister of the word. And Classis comes alongside and gives support, not only financial support to try to help through seminary, but also try to walk alongside everybody. So we've got a team in Classis, Wisconsin called the Leadership Development Team that's in charge of walking alongside candidates in this process. And so, yeah, it's exciting to have a pretty solid number in Classis, Wisconsin, especially because throughout the Christian Reformed Church, we have a shortage of pastors right now, a pretty massive shortage. And so we want to see, people come into the role of pastor to serve our churches, and Classis, Wisconsin's doing a pretty good job of raising up. Yeah.
Yeah, part of the reason it's so exciting to have so many candidates is because that usually suggests that your local church is identifying people who have the gifts for ministry, which also suggests that your local church is developing the kind of people who are fit for ministry.
Yeah.
So people like Keith, long time at Living Hope, and kind of identified more and more gifts the longer Keith's been there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a son of this church, Oostburg CRC, and there are others. I shouldn't name too many names because maybe people don't like that, but just
Yeah.
young people from the church that got identified as gifted for ministry and are following that path. So
yeah, I mean, it shows healthy churches, right? I tell people, I mean, I suppose I'm somewhat biased being in Classis, Wisconsin, and being the stated clerk, but as I talk to people from other Classis, Wisconsin is very healthy.
mm-hmm.
Even just the number of people we have licensed to exhort in Classis, Wisconsin, it seems to be, I'm sure there's other Classis that have more, but as I talk to some, they struggle to find people to fill the pulpit, and we have a pretty solid number of people who are licensed to exhort and to help out. So those are all really good signs for Classis, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't want to blow too much smoke, but that's kind of what this program exists to do, blow smoke. But like, I had someone from church just a couple weeks ago say, never an older person from the church say, we've never talked about Classis so much as we have the last couple of years. And they're really excited about that. And a lot of that has to do with things like this prayer initiative that we've been doing. We pray for one another in the services. And so it's listed in our bulletin, and we have this way to share prayer requests, and that comes across on the newsletter. And so it's a lot of things to be thankful for in Classis, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think God's really blessing us. And it was fun for me just coming out of a Classis meeting, talking to our elder and deacon delegate, and they were really excited about the work that is happening in Classis, Wisconsin. Not even just with Mac, but, the work that Evan Tinklenberg is doing down on the UW campus as well is really exciting. And so, yeah, I feel like we're in a good place, and God is using
Pastor
us.
Ku Vang's another exciting thing. That's one of
right.
Our delegates came back talking about that as well. What can we do for the Vangs? So maybe that's something to mention on the program. What could our churches do to support Pastor Ku?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's I that was one of my last year or a couple of years ago. I got to go up and do an apologetic seminar at the Hmong CRC Church in Sheboygan, and I remember walking out of there after sitting down, and I did like an all day long apologetics seminar, and there was like 40 or 50 people there sitting and listening to this, and I'm like, man, this is such a healthy church. Pastor Koo's done such a good job up there. So yeah, it's exciting to see what he's going to do as he goes off onto the mission field and continues to raise up leaders.
Are there other highlights from the meeting?
I would say nothing like exciting as far as we adopted some new information, like new policies for how we're going to do ministry shares on a classical level. So it's not exciting, but it's probably information people should be aware of that we're going to be doing. It's a simpler way to do our ministry shares in Classis, Wisconsin, but it's different, and I don't have that all memorized perfectly, so you can find that information in the minutes and in some of those reports. But that's something I think to just to keep in mind, that a pretty significant change that was adopted as well.
Yeah, I maybe should have it memorized because I'm part of the admin team that proposed it, but I don't either. But something to the effect of, like, rather than trying to inflate the number, because we know that not everybody's going to give all their classical donations. I'll say donations because maybe a little more clear than what ministry shares is. Instead of trying to give a bigger number, knowing that people will give a smaller percentage, it's just being really transparent about, like, here's the piece of the pie that each one of our churches represents, and we should be good for it, kind of.
Yeah.
And just a little clearer and more transparent.
Yeah. I mean, before there was we were still using kind of an old way that the CRC developed our ministry share requirements. And so it was a pretty complicated calculation for how many per member and all of that. And so this just kind of streamlines it more, gives more clarity on what each church is responsible for. And yeah, I think it'll help us have better conversations moving forward as well about where we're at with ministry shares and where our money's going and how we're using that at Classis. So I think it'll be really good, but it'll be another change. So
yeah, we've got some delegates to Synod.
Yeah, that's I forgot about that. That's what I was going to say. That's usually one of the big conversations in February, is that you elect delegates to go to Synod. And so the delegates we have going, we have 2 pastors going. We always delegate 2 pastors. So Chris Gansky from City Reformed Church is going, and then Keith Bice from 2nd CRC in Randolph is going. And then our elder delegate is Mel Elgersma from Oostburg, from Zach's church. And our deacon delegate is Chris Bilesma from Brookfield CRC. So, we have a really good, solid group of guys going again. They get to go up to Canada this year, so they get to cross the border for Synod. But yeah, I'm really thankful for all those who are willing to go. We keep doing the good work that Synod has been doing. So,
yeah, knowing all 4 of them personally, I'm very thankful. And proud to send that group. I'm hoping, I think last year or maybe 2 years ago, I got all of our representatives on one of these calls before Synod. I'd like to do that again if I can. So those 4 of you, look for an email from me. I don't know if there's anything else worth mentioning otherwise.
That's about it, I think. That took up that's the majority of our meeting. I mean, there's all these other little businessy items that we do. But that was the majority of what we covered.
Wonderful. Hey, thanks for your time, stated clerk.
Yeah.
Reverend Dr. Jason, right? Whatever title.
I'm not a reverend doctor. You can call me Jason. That's what I usually go for.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. See ya.